Glen here from Final Draft Mapping, and in this video we're going to restore a web map in ArcGIS Online using configuration files that we exported in the previous video. Now there are some caveats for restoring a web map. The original layers need to exist and be in their original feature layers. Other than that, let's go check out the workflow. Up top we will import the GIS class that will provide access to ArcGIS Online and its contents. And we'll also import the map class, which will enable us to create a map object which will save as a web map item in our ArcGIS Online. We will then tailor that web map using the config files to be identical to the map that we backed up. We also import two modules from the standard Python library, JSON for reading our JSON files and our OS for accessing those JSON config files. We use the GIS class to access ArcGIS Online. We have two user inputs. One is for an archive folder where those config files sit. If you watched the previous video, I backed up my configuration files to a folder called I want to back up this map, which was the name of the map I backed up. For the map that we are restoring, we'll create a variable called new web map name, and we can call this whatever we want. I'll call this I restored this web map. We then need the file paths to our JSON files. So for our settings file, we will use list comprehension to scan our archive folder for a file that begins with settings, and for our definition we want the file that begins with definition. Now if I open up that folder, you can see here the files that were extracted. We have our JSON definition and our settings definition along with our thumbnail. And they are stored in the I want to back up this map folder. First off, we'll get the item settings. So we'll use the Python open function and supply in our settings file path, and we'll use the JSON.load method to load that JSON to a variable called WebMap settings. We'll get the thumbnail name from the settings and use that to create a thumbnail file path for our thumbnail. We'll now set up the new web map item properties. When we go to use the map object save method, we will need to use these properties to set up our new map. We set our title to be our new web map name, and then we take description, snippet, tags, type keywords, extent, spatial reference, access information, license info, culture, access, common styles and categories from the web map settings file. If you are the user that owned that web map, we're going to put it back into the same folder. So if you are the owner, we will put it back into the same folder. Otherwise, we'll put it into the root for that user. Next up, we create a map object and assign it to a variable called WebMap. We then save the web map as an item of content. So we call the map object save method. Our item properties parameter is our web map item dictionary above with all our properties. Our thumbnail is our thumbnail path, and our folder is our folder. This will create a web map item, and we will have that web map item as an item object in a variable called web map item. We can then call the item object protect method, and we'll set enable to be whatever the settings were for the web map that was backed up. If content status is in our web map settings, then we'll update the content status for the web map item too. And also we will set the favorite, so if it was a favorite or not. At this point we have a web map, but it is empty. There's no layers in there. We've set the settings, so last thing to do is to apply the web map definition from our definition JSON file. So once more we use the open function from Python and we read in our definition JSON file. We use the JSON.load to assign the JSON to a variable called WebMap definition. We create a dictionary called item properties with a key of text and a value of that JSON definition. We then use the item object on our new web map and the update method where we supply in our item properties dictionary above here as the item properties parameter. Before running, I'm going to head on over to ArcGIS Online. Here's our web map, and I'll go back to my content into the web map, settings, going to make sure that I can delete this item, and I'm going to delete the item. I'm going to delete it permanently. That web map is now gone from my organization and gone from my blogs folder. Let's head back over to PyScripter and we'll run our script. Our script is complete. Let's head back over to ArcGIS Online. I'm going to refresh this page and we can see I restored this web map, has been created, has been marked as authoritative as per the backup. I click in. We have our thumbnail, it is favorited. We have our summary, our description, our layers have been added back in the right order, our table is there, the base map we used, terms of use, the tags. And if I click into settings, delete protection is set, and we have our search on our NIAH locations. And if I open up the web map, if I click on an NIAH locations point, you can see that it has honored the related information. With NIAH locations, we had forms set, and the forms have been honored, as we can see, as has the symbology and also the forms for our NIAH information. In this video, we saw how we could restore a web map in ArcGIS Online using the ArcGIS API for Python when we have the configurations exported to a folder. We had two configuration files. We had one for the web map JSON definition and one for the settings. We also had one there for our thumbnail. But you could see how we could take those configuration files and restore a web map. Now, it won't honor the item ID, so if you're using that web map in applications such as Web Experience Builder or dashboards, you'll have to repoint those to the new web map. If you found this video useful, please leave a comment below. The code used throughout this video is over on the blog posts, and there is a link below. Over on our website, we also have courses for the ArcGIS API for Python.